I found that there's a ChatGPT challenge, which is very interesting. As you guys can see, I have the latest. I got ChatGPT 4.0. And also, there's no previous prompts from it. Now, if you don't believe me, you can try it yourself on your own ChatGPT. And it doesn't have to be with the Democrat Party. You can also try with the Republican Party. And I'm doing my best to be as fair as possible. I'm doing my best in order to ask questions that are demonstrably true, that aren't too controversial, right? So in order to get the bot to be as honest as possible, you need to make sure it doesn't know you're talking about the Democrats. You just need to write in Democrat policies and make sure that you don't mention that they are coming from the United States. So the way I framed it is to ask the bot to imagine a modern political party. And imagine that all you know about it is the following. Promotes equality of outcome over a level playing field. In other words, they're worried about the percentages. They look at a company and they say, why is it that only this percentage of women work here? Why is it that this percentage of gays work here? They do not ask whether the hiring or the interview were done in a fair manner. They simply state that because the outcome is undesirable, the company has to fix it. They have to tinker with the percentages, right? Like, this is equity. I don't think it's controversial to point out that this is something the Democrat Party supports while the Republican Party doesn't. It is concerned that unfettered speech is a threat to the safety of the population. You don't really see Republicans going out there saying, oh, your free speech is a threat to democracy. Oh, it's this misinformation and disinformation, which our adult citizens are incapable of thinking for themselves and differentiate when they see misinformation online. Now, of course, our fact checkers and we from the Democrat Party, we can go on the internet and we can subject ourselves to misinformation because we're smart and we're able to differentiate. But the average citizen definitely cannot. So this is why it's a danger to democracy. There's also something funny that's happening in Brazil right now where people cannot use Twitter because, again, it's harmful. Misinformation, disinformation. But there are party leaders from Brazil, from the established leftist party, that are still using Twitter. Because, again, they are capable of figuring out for themselves. You see, like, most people know how to make a bank loan, know how to purchase a car. They know to differentiate between what a salesman tells them, if something is good or bad. But when they're on the internet, and specifically when it's about politics, they just can't tell if a news is accurate or not if it pops up on their screen, right? So this is something that I would say the Democrats are hyper concerned with, which is to make sure that speech is controlled, that you have terms of service, that you have algorithms that crack down on misinformation and disinformation and do not allow unfettered speech. We also saw with the Hunter Biden laptop story. We also saw with COVID and their policies. We saw with the 2020 elections, right? It supports candidates chosen by party leaders rather than the people via primary elections. So this is with the current vice president, Kamala Harris. Like, we noticed that she didn't run against Bernie Sanders, against AOC. There was no primary. They were just like waiting until the last moment, until the very last moment, the Democrats stood behind Joe Biden. And then they went like, well, I guess we need to choose someone new because, look, it just so happened that he withdrew from the race. In the same day, in the morning, Joe Biden goes on Twitter and says, no, I'm staying in the race. I'm running for president. Just so before dark, he goes on X and tells people that he is stepping down. His own staffers found out from X. And the American people felt, I suppose, like they were in a relationship for 10 years and then their wife dumped them via text. Didn't even want to meet them face to face. Wouldn't even have a normal recording where he would address the nation like other politicians who stepped down. No, it was done via Twitter. And after this was happening, it's like, oh, well, what can we do now? We got to put Kamala Harris. We got to put her in by not having a primary. So I do think like this applies, right? I'm not thinking that this is unfair to add in. Does not want people to show ID to vote. I would add here, but requires people to show ID to join their conventions. Should we add something else? Like what else are the Democrats doing that the Republicans aren't? And I want to be fair about it. Like I don't want to be, caricaturizing their party or anything like that. promote high taxation in order to have more government spending and also print a lot of money. I think this is fair, right? Are very big on gun control and are against policing. Some of their laws even outright favor criminals. And this is in San Francisco, like the law that if you steal less than $1,000 worth of goods is a misdemeanor is mind-boggling. Like, I don't know if any other country in the world has something like this, and the repercussions are obvious. I mean, you get to see stores in San Francisco that are under lock and key. That if you actually want to get some shaving cream, you gotta call the guy from the counter so that he comes with a key, because the shaving cream is beyond the glass. And the police can't do nothing. Like, if they steal less than $1,000, then the police can't physically catch them. Like, these types of laws are not there to help the business owner. They're not there to help the law-abiding people of the community, right? Laws that allow people to be released without bail. Even violent criminals. Anna Kasparyan from the Young Turks was horrified, and she was called right-wing for pointing this out. That she read a case where an individual chopped another person into different parts. The police, when they went into the house, were shocked about the amount of blood that they saw. And the guy is released without bail. It's like, come on. Like, I don't think Republicans are pushing for this type of behavior or legislation. So anyway, the question, to which political parties is this unspecified party most similar worldwide and throughout history? So let's see what we get. Communist parties, the Soviet Union, Maoist China, equality on outcome, limits of free speech, centralized candidate in selection, ID requirements, party convention and government activities were tightly controlled, requiring ID participation, gun policing, fascist regimes, Nazi Germany, Mussolini Italy, centralized power, free speech limitation, high government spending, gun control, Venezuela, Chavez, Maduro, right? So what I want you guys to do, if you don't believe it, if you don't agree with what I wrote here, write your own policy. So the rules are like this. It needs to be something that the Democrats believe in, but the Republicans don't. And it also needs to make sure that the bot doesn't realize that you're talking about the United States of America. Just ask it a hypothetical. And afterwards, you can do it with the Republican Party if you want. You can do it with the MAGA movement. So make a couple of questions that the MAGA movement believes in and apply it. But again, they have to be fair, because if you're just using caricatures or you're just using propaganda and stuff like that, then you're not going to get the accurate response. But still, I have tried it several times with different ways at cracking at the problem, and this is what I get. So I think that the people that are in charge of AI safety aren't doing their job. They need to crack down on this, because this is definitely something harmful and dangerous misinformation.